So the first question I have, and these are all like kind of vague, so feel free to add whatever you'd like. The first one is describe an important relationship in your life right now.
A current relationship?
Yeah, like think of like the last few years.
Well, the most important relationship was the relationship with my son who passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He was probably the person that I was the closest to in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And our relationship had not always been ideal. When he was an adolescent, he was a real pain. And even in his early 20s, and I always say that at the point of where he grew up, he was 32 years old.
Yeah.
And that's when he bought a house, and he started becoming very responsible. And unfortunately, he was married and divorced twice to the same woman, but she was is pretty a volatile person where I think she has borderline personality disorder, but anyway, she would shove him out, go away, get out of here, and he would come and stay with me.
Wow.
And I called the time right before he died, those 100 days. I had exactly 100 days that he lived here with me.
Oh.
And I don't know if he had some kind of insight or not that he might die, or at least maybe subconsciously, but our relationship grew so strong in those 100 days, and we did so many things together, things that Brian didn't typically do with me, his mom,
Yeah.
And we went on like a day trip to the Tonto Natural Bridge, and then down into Payson looking at cabins, and he walked with me. I loved to walk every evening, and so we would take pictures of sunsets, and we would watch Big Brother, which is our favorite show, and I would make a chocolate chip cookie, a big one for each of us while we ate it, or while we watched the show, and there was just so many things. He shared his friends with me. His friends sometimes came along on our walk, and so it was just an amazing time, and I'm so grateful that I had that time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good to hear. I didn't realize that he lived with you prior.
Oh yeah, he lived with me off and on, periodically. When he was much younger, like in his 20s, more frequently, but he would move out because of his, bad choices or something like that, but, oh my gosh, he was such a responsible and amazing person, and the thing I admired the most about him was his brain.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
He could problem solve like nobody else. I mean, I was so envious of that.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so, in the last few years, your most important relationship was with your son.
My son, Ryan. I have another son, and he's very, very important to me as well.
So maybe we would say, your children.
Yeah,
would
definitely.
be the best. Well, that's good, and I'm glad that you had that time with Brian. Okay. So, what are your goals or hopes for the next 5 years?
Well, I knew my purpose when I was working at Jewish Family, which was the work that I was doing with families. I was very sure that that was my purpose in life. And so when I retired, I'm wondering, okay, now, and I've asked God, what is my purpose at this point, And so in the next 5 years, I believe that it's still service to others. I don't know in what capacity. I've already helped, several friends, just, listening, guiding, talking with them, those kinds of things. And I know that it was, very positive because of either of how it turned out or, their responses and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, and as I grow in my personal growth, my spirituality deepens. And, I'm not religious at all. I don't prescribe to any religion, but I am very, very spiritual. And to me that is something that's very important to me. So as far as like a definitive goal, and oh, I'm going to go get a job here, or I'm going to go travel there. I don't have any plans to that other than my 50-year class reunion, which is in October. 50 years!
Well, well, that sounds good, though, and you have the time to just kind of...
Well, I'm enjoying my alone time,
Yeah.
Pam likes to be alone. Yeah,
wow.
I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gives me time to reflect and to read, and certainly one of my fun things to do is playing the stock market.
Yeah.
And I think I told you once a long time ago.
Yeah, you gave me good advice.
Buy some Tesla. Although, I don't own Tesla. I won't, because I think Elon Musk is a nut. No, I can't sleep at night with that guy's craziness, but I do have some great stocks that have done really well.
Yeah, you definitely have a lot of hobbies, you like to hike, right?
Yeah, I do. I love it. Yeah, we were hiking the other day. I got a new pair of hiking shoes.
Oh, before it gets too hot.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see. Okay. This question says, bodies and minds change as people grow and age. Have you noticed any changes in your functioning or abilities recently? What do you think about these changes?
Oh, hell yes! And I don't think much of them.
Yeah.
Saggy, crepey skin.
Yeah.
I can't hear very well, although I can hear you very well.
Yeah.
There's certain tones that I can't hear, and it's frustrating. And I have to remember to wear the hearing aids when I'm around certain people, because I went to my friend Stacy's house the other day, and not only could I not hear her nor any of her children,
Oh, wow.
I was felt like a horrible pain in the neck.
You're like, I cannot hear you.
But that, and the day I retired, which was January 4th of this year.
Oh, wow.
2 days later, I met with our clinical director and her family, and we went up to the Arboretum and had a great time. We hiked all over the place, climbed up the rock where I had spread some of Brian's ashes, and then the next day or the day after, I had a torn meniscus. I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I couldn't walk, and so for that 2 months, until I got a cortisone shot in my knee, it was horrible, and I was just so depressed because I felt like, I felt great throughout my whole working life.
Yeah.
And now here I am 2 days later, and
you're like, I'm falling apart. Yeah.
Exactly. It's exactly how I felt.
Wow.
And then the other thing is, now that I'm on Medicare, which is very good insurance, and I never went to the doctor when I was working. Never.
Yeah.
And and now I went to a cardiologist yesterday, and I'm doing all these doctor things, and I'm like, I'm starting to feel old.
Yeah, you're like, am I old now? No way.
And now I don't feel it. I don't think it. I'm not old in any way in the mind or anything. But you look and you go, oh God.
I've said this before, that you're the youngest
68.
person I know. You are the youngest person I know, period.
Oh, thanks. That's really nice.
Okay. So, the next question is, the way we see things changes as we grow. For example, the importance of friendships and the way we make friends change over time. The same thing with family and relationships. How recently have these things maybe changed for you, and over time?
Well,
it's a pretty long,
it's a deep question.
Yeah.
One of the first thing that popped into my mind when you started reading the question was that, I have friendships. It seems that most of my friends, almost all of them, are attached to someone. Either their husband or wife, or their significant other, or living with somebody that they spend most of their time with. So finding time to, I am a people person. I do enjoy my alone time, but I used to walk every day with a friend named Chris. And, I'm finding that my tolerance for little things isn't as good, and that, I might dismiss something that I wouldn't normally, like I might just say, well, heck with her. I'm not going to call her until she calls me. I just dismiss her on what I perceive as her unfriendliness. I called her a couple of times on Sunday and she never returned my call. And we were supposed to walk that night. And, so now I'm at the point with her as like, when she calls me, that's the next time I'll have.
You're like, I'm not going to work harder than you.
No, exactly. And, so there's a few friends like that, Of course, there's always the troublesome adolescent behavior of some people that is like cliquey, and that always feels yucky no matter what stage you're in, and it really is retarded. I can't even believe that they're like still doing that kind of stuff.
It's just like I've noticed too as I've gotten older. It's just that doesn't go away. And I was right. I thought this was going to go away when I was out of elementary school.
Right. But on the other hand, there are relationships that deepen. One of the things that's really cool is that people that I went to high school with, that I didn't hang around with in high school, I'm developing adult friendships with them.
Cool.
And that's really neat. I just had a friend from New Jersey. She and I were best friends in first grade when we met, and then all through elementary school and junior high. But then in high school we didn't really hang out. And then as we each got married and went our separate ways, we just didn't. We never saw each other or connect. Well, then we made friends on Facebook. And she just came out here to visit me, and we had a great time. And when I go back for my reunion, I'm going to stay with her.
That's fun.
Yeah, I know. And then another person that I never hung around with, but she lives in Maine, and we're Facebook friends. And
social media.
Yeah. So I had bought a stool. I'll show it to you later. Because it was matching the other one that I had received from a friend years ago, and it was made by inmates in the Maine State Prison. And I asked when I called this showroom in the Maine State Prison, and they said, "No, you have to be a resident of Maine. In other words, they won't ship it to you." And so this woman that I went to high school with, that I'm friends with on Facebook, but never hung around, she says, I'll go get it for you. So she drives across the state of Maine to the shore, to the East Coast, and she buys the stool and she boxes it up and ships it to me, and then I just sent her a check. And that was so nice.
That's so cool.
So things like that are really cool. And so
people change, and you're able to connect maybe later in life.
Right.
I'm sure I'll have a few people like that.
Definitely.
Cool. Okay. This is an interesting question. Do you think rules and laws are black and white, or is there any ambiguity around them? Explain what and why you think that.
Well,
that's like
I'm not a high-structured person, and so rules and laws are, meant to be kind of ambiguous.
Okay.
And so I do. I speed. I know. I mean,
I'm not shocked.
Right. And so that's breaking a rule. But there's certain, things that I'm very adamant about, and
that question's just hard, I think.
Yeah, it's
I think some things are black and white, but then I think some things are definitely not.
Right, yeah. I mean, I try to follow the rules of honoring other people, not hurting anyone else or myself.
Yeah.
And, I think those rules are very important. I try to do the nice things. Like the other day, when it was real windy out, there was a trash can at the end of the street that blew over, and all the trash was blowing all over the place. And, I just went along and I picked all the trash up, put it back in the can, and, some little things like that, they know I did that or anything, but, just, it's not really a rule, but it's kind of like how I live.
Yeah, it's a rule for you.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Just to help others and do something nice, whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I agree with you. For sure. Okay. This is, okay. When do you think someone is considered an adult?
Oh, I love that question. Well, it's very, very different for every person.
Yeah.
And, some people, my older son, Mike, I think he became an adult around 18 or 19 years old.
Wow.
He has always been out on his own. He, once he turned 18, he got married to, not right away, but to his wife that he has now. They have 2 children, and, he has always supported himself, and, it's just stood up and did the things that he needed to do.
Yeah.
So he was very young. And, like I said, Brian didn't become an adult until he was 32.
Yeah.
So, if I just look at my 2 children, the huge discrepancy, their personalities couldn't be more different. And, I think choices they make and experiences that they have contribute to maturity and, also things that they're exposed to. Last night, our friend that was here last night, I know that she has done things that, I consider just very immature, her responses and stuff.
Yeah.
But I introduced her to a wonderful movie last night called The Shift by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And I know that it was very impactful for her, and it will help her. And so things like that help people to mature.
So when do you think... what do you think the deciding factor is, okay, you're mature now? Do you think there's a specific thing, buying a house, getting an education, or do you think it just kind of comes with experience?
I think that it will always progress, because if you describe mature as just behavior, I mean, everybody has weird behavior from time to time, and some of it you could classify it as immature or weird,
Yeah.
And so, that's such an undefinable, question or answer. That you really can't define when somebody is actually mature.
Yeah. I find it hard too, because earlier in our class, we had to write about in different cultures, what would be a defining factor of being an adult, and mine was well, in Judaism, when you're 13, you're an adult. Culturally, but that doesn't really make sense. Present day, it's kind of hard to be I'm an adult now. I don't feel like I'm an adult, and I don't feel like I'm an adult yet because I don't, for my own standards, I don't own a house, or, I'm still in school. So it's just interesting.
Well, don't you think, too, that people, also are very determining of when they actually think they're an adult? If people were to be honest with themselves, the hoodlum in the street that's out stealing wheels and tires and stuff like that, as if you were to ask him, are you an adult?
Maybe they're I'm totally an adult.
Right, exactly. But he might say yes.
Yeah.
Sure, I have drinks and I do this and that. But, if he were to really sit down and be honest, he would probably say, not really.
Yeah. yeah, they maybe identify as an adult, quote unquote. Yeah, I agree with you. We've agreed on everything. Okay, this is a good question. What do you think about aging? Like, what is your, how have you felt about aging? Maybe, do you have any fears about, the future? Have you felt good about it? What kind of...
Well,
I'm sure it goes up and down,
I've often said I wish my mother were here so that I could ask her questions about aging, because it's scary.
Yeah.
It is. It's very scary. But the alternative isn't, a choice that I would make either.
Yeah.
Dying, right?
Yeah.
Before you actually age.
Absolutely.
Into wrinkled skin and stuff. But, I think that there's some pluses to aging. You slow down and you reflect more, and or at least for me.
Yeah.
And when I say slow down, I don't mean physically, but stop and smell the roses, look at nature, to really appreciate things that you were always too busy to do before.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the pluses, the wisdom and experience that you've had in life that you can share with others.
Mm-hmm.
At least for me, because I like sharing and teaching. Not everybody is like that, and maybe they're withdrawn.
Absolutely.
I'm not. I think the thing I fear the most is living in discomfort or pain or extreme disability where I can't take care of myself.
Yeah, that's a scary thought for sure. But you do a good job of combating all of that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Healthy diet and everything. Yeah. Absolutely, that's a good answer. Let's see.
So you can just go back with your recorder and listen to my answers.
Yeah,
and
then pull from that, so I'm not like, hold on, can you say that again?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're in the new age. It's crazy. This is the first time I've ever interviewed somebody on here without being like, oh, hold on.
Yeah, right. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, how about this one? Discuss an institution or organization that's important in your life right now. If you have one. If you don't have one, that's fine.
An institution or organization that's important to me.
I mean, my thought for, most folks, not me, and maybe probably not you, would be like a church or something, like, oh yeah, now I go all the time, but maybe...
Well, it's not an institution or an organization, but I love the Boyce Thompson Arboretum.
Okay.
And I love being there because it's nature in all forms out there, through animals and sky and mountains and trees and flowers and pathways and little nooks and all of those things that are out there that are important to me. Nature is important to me. So it's a place that I would like to donate to. It's a place that I like to bring people to, and get them in for free so that they can, maybe enjoy it and love it and see what it's like, and possibly want to become a member themselves, which helps the Arboretum.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic there. I would have to say that.
I think that totally counts for like a organization.
Yeah.
Because it's it's like it's a place where you go and you're mindful.
Right. I mean, in a way, it's my church.
Absolutely.
It's out there in the nature, and that's where I deepen my spirituality.
Yeah.
And not just that place, but it's certainly one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's the coffee? Does that help it at all?
Yeah, the tea is so good.
Oh, I mean, tea.
It's really tasty.
Yeah.
And it has like a nice sweetness.
Yeah, I know, and yet there is no sugar.
Yeah,
Like the mango flavor.
I'm like, I better go get lots of tea from the store today.
Has it helped your headache at all?
Yeah, just a little. It's like taking the edge off of it.
Yeah.
Which is all I care about.
Yeah, right.
No, sugar is really hard.
Right.
It's so hard. No, it's good. And we digress. Okay. I'm reading this next one. Let's see. what sort of identity or identities do you align with? What do these mean to you? How do you think that you have developed this identity? Do you think it's set in stone or fluid and open to change over time?
Of all the questions you've asked, that's the hardest.
This one is really hard because if it's not, like, I feel like, you know, me, it's like, yeah, I'm Jewish, you know, that's an identity that I identify with, you know, among other identities. But if you don't, like, if you might be in transition right now, like me, maybe, I don't know, maybe your identity would be like being a mom.
Is that asking? Well, it's definitely not it. Is that? I mean, my children are grown up.
Yeah,
you know,
like
so
that maybe used to
right.
be an identity for you, and it's not anymore.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Is it like asking? Is the question asking to identify with a particular person or something, or just?
It could be like a group. Like, it could be like, I identify also as a feminist, and I also identify as this and that. If you don't feel like you identify with anything that is,
I identify with being a woman. I identify with being a person who stands up for what I believe in and outspoken enough to
perfect,
to try to make it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
As a positive.
No, that's great. And so clearly, I feel like you'll always feel like you identify, you know, with the identity of being a woman.
I never want to be married again. Never.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, and it's not because of my ex-husband or anything. I did want to be married right after I was divorced and stuff.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, but over the years.
You're like, no, I'm good.
Looking at the men in my age group, it's like, why would anybody want that? You know, it's like, oh, yucko.
Oh my gosh, that's great. My grandma got remarried when she was 82.
No kidding.
And her husband was in like 90.
Really?
Yeah, and they were together for like 8 years, and then, you know, she passed away and he passed away, but that was wild.
Wow, that is neat.
She was single, you know. My grandpa passed away in 1996, so she was, you know, for about 20 years. No, 10 years, 20 years. I don't know. She was single for a long time, and then she got remarried, and I was like, wow, I didn't know.
Was she in a nursing home or assisted care?
They met at, well, no, they met at, like a community group event.
Right.
But eventually they went there. But when they first got together, but it's so funny.
Well, and I think that the expectations are so low at that point. Men in my age group, they think they can get 40-year-old women. And if they have the money, they can.
Oh, God,
you know, they've got arm candy, and that's what they do, you know. And they're not serious about, after a while, they go, gee, we have nothing in common. And they're back on Match.com or whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting...
Yeah.
I just felt like, especially because I was in my teens when she got remarried, and I was like, this is so interesting.
Yeah, that's neat. That is.
But okay, so you identify, you know,
being a woman,
and
a person that wants to stand up for what I believe is right.
Yeah, maybe you know, I could go as far as to say like an activist in your own way.
Yes.
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah, very much so.
That's so awesome. Okay, I love those. Okay, what does culture represent in your life? What type of impact does your culture have of the choices you make? Or if you don't feel like it makes an impact, that's fine.
Well, you know, being Caucasian, you know, when I was brought up in the 50s and 60s, you know, black people were called colored people.
Yeah.
And there was lots of segregation.
Yeah.
And, you know, I went to school my whole life with nothing but white people.
Yeah.
You know, elementary, junior high, and high school. And we were a regional high school, and there wasn't any black people in there at all.
Wow.
And, and so through my work, I came to love people of different cultures and honor them. And, when I see white people that are still like prejudice or racist or just really apathetic, when they don't really care.
I think that's the worst of them.
Yeah.
And it's not the worst of them, but that's just as bad.
I mean, and so there were many experiences in my life. I went to a cultural diversity seminar in McLean, Virginia, when I was working at Parents Anonymous. And it was a whole week long. And they brought people from all over the world. And it was the most amazing experience, and I learned so much about different cultures and stuff. So the original question was, how does my culture...
what does culture represent in your life?
Culture represents loving all people. My favorite word is namaste. The sacred in me honors the sacred in you.
Yeah.
And I believe that God is in all people, and that that we cannot judge others, and I hate sometimes the way I see things, that are out there right now. And
it can be pretty ugly.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. That's great. Let's see. Okay, so this is a little bit less deep. What does your average day-to-day look like? It kind of depends, though, right?
It's do whatever the heck I want. And I'm still in love with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a free spirit, and, and I'm very, I'm kind of a person that does things on the, hey, this is a good idea. You want to do this with me? And if I can find somebody that is, or I'll do it by myself.
Absolutely.
But I do whatever I want. I almost always get up at 4:30. I want to get up at 4:30. I'm a morning person.
Yeah, and you don't want to waste away your day.
Exactly. Yeah, but I crash by like 9.
You're like, good night.
Yeah.
It's 7.
And I usually make it till 9. Last night when
I made it to 7:50 yesterday.
10:30, 7:50.
Yeah, I was like, I'm tired. 10:30.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we were watching that movie.
Oh, that's true.
And I was watching, her like respond to all the stuff. It was really fun.
Yeah. Okay, so you do whatever you want. Is there anything in your day that you do religiously? I mean, like come out here, make a little cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah. Every morning I take my thyroid medication, and when I wake up at 4:30, so at 5:30, I'm usually out here making a cup of coffee. And I like to watch TV in the morning, until I wake up, really fully wake up. And then at 6:30, I'm in front of that computer with the market, at opening bell.
Oh, okay.
I'm always there at opening bell.
That is so awesome.
I mean, never ever. Once in a blue moon, if I had surgery or something like that, I'm out there.
I had surgery. I can't be there at the opening bell today.
I know. And I'm like horrified if I ever at 6:35, and I go, oh my gosh, I missed it.
Oh no! Wow.
Yeah, no, and I do that. Then the next thing I do is I like to exercise. I go for a walk. And then I come back and I make like a smoothie or something to eat. And I love being in my backyard. It's an extension of my house. And, I got it fixed up really great. So, I just love being there and tending to all the plants. I do that a lot.
Okay.
And hummingbirds are my absolute favorite. I'll stand there and yell, hummers, hummers,
do they come?
where are you? And in fact, there was a hummingbird that I called my Brian hummingbird. Last spring and summer, he was hanging out. And this is the most amazing thing. So he was. I have a little swing for them, like right next to the feeder out there.
Yeah.
And he'd sit on the swing, and then and he would like then go over and get some nectar. And he might come over, flutter in my face, and then he'd go back on the swing. And he did this for 30 minutes.
Wow.
And I knew that that he knew me. That this bird had a connection with me.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Then the next day or that day, I can't remember, but I was waiting for a CFT to happen, and we were over in the new building, where all the adult section is.
Yes.
And I was sitting in the room by myself because no one else had showed up yet. And, that's a second story office building, and there weren't any trees outside that window. And the lady that was the grandmother of the children that were my clients was a very, nasty, volatile lady that, she was unhappy with lots of things. She's fired every youth and family specialist that she's had. And that day was going to be, like her discussing her things or whatever. And so I sat there and I went, I hope this goes well today. And then a hummingbird right in front of the window just fluttered there for, I mean, it blew my mind. That this up there, that was definitely on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, she came in and she was delightful. And, so it was really great. It worked out well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What was the question on that?
What's your average day?
Oh, yeah, okay. So hummers and plants and all that kind of stuff. And then, I love making meals for people. And so, I made a dinner for Heather last night.
Yeah.
And then, like walking in the evening. Even though I walk in the morning, I like to walk if I have a friend to walk with.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so nice in the evening recently. Right. It was pretty cold this morning.
Oh, I know.
Were you cold?
Oh, yes.
I was like on the way to the gym at 5:45 in the morning, and I was freezing, and I was like, what is going on?
I was going to ask you, do you want to sit out at the table in the sun? Because I was freezing.
Yeah, it was very cold. Luckily, it feels good.
It's warming up, yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked. Okay. So the last question, and kind of what we discussed a little bit earlier, is what's a particular experience that you've had, and how did you recover from it, and kind of what it has meant to you, etc.
Yeah, there were several events in my life that were very, very challenging, but, the main three that impacted me, the first one was a combination of my divorce and going through treatment for breast cancer, and losing my breasts, and then having surgery after surgery of reconstruction, and that my body rejected, and finally I just said, get rid of them.
Yeah.
And the fact that my ex-husband, who I was best friends with for the 21 years that we were married, not only cheated on me, but he told this woman that I was his sister, and our kids were his nephews, and asked our older son to call him Uncle Bill. And then he bought her a diamond wedding ring and put it on our visa and didn't pay for it.
Wow.
And I had to file bankruptcy because I was not going to pay for her wedding ring.
Yeah.
And then he married her before we were even divorced. And it was just so upside down, unbelievable. Like people say, you could write a book.
Yeah, that's like a lot of things.
Yeah, and then Brian, he was 15, and I think he thought that, Mom was going to die, and Dad just took off, and, and he just started acting out.
Yeah.
Doing all kinds of stuff. Weird. He never did drugs, but just like shooting out street lights with a slingshot.
Yeah, just kind of like petty.
Yeah, petty, like, bratty, get in trouble.
Yeah, maybe like to get attention, even if it's negative attention.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, my parents, the day I was hired at JFCS in June 17th, well, 1 month later, my father died. And then 2 months after that, my mother died.
Wow.
And so losing both of my parents, together, and they lived right behind me in a house behind me here.
Oh, wow.
And so I was really close with them and spent, a lot of time with them and stuff. And then certainly the most significant, horrible thing that ever happened to me was my son, Brian, at age 42, dying. And, it was such a shock. And the crazy woman that he had been married to a couple times calls me up when she discovered his body. And I had driven over to Michael's house, my other son, because his daughter's 17th birthday was that day. And I had just arrived, which is freeway all the way. And I pick up the phone, and I'm sitting next to Michael on the curb because he's jacking up the camper that they just got back from camping. And she says, I said hello, because it was Randy, I knew it was her. And I said hello, and she says, Brian's dead. That's how I got it. And had I been driving, I don't know that I would be here today. And so there were just a lot of things that, even though the horror of losing him, a lot of things that I look at that I appreciate so much. And, and I always felt like it's just God taking care of me, and helping me to deal with such a loss by letting me have this 100 days of pure bliss with him.
Wow. I didn't realize that that's how you found out. That is so upsetting. And you're like, I don't even...
And I said, what? He's dead. He died. And I said,
what are you talking about?
Did you call the paramedics? And he's dead. And she says, get over here as fast as you can. And I'm like, I'm in Peoria. And, and there was so we did. We left. Randy drove my car. I couldn't drive. And then Michael drove their car. And we all, three of us, and the grandfather of the maternal grandfather stayed with the kids, But wow, unbelievable.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing. That's a lot. Were there any events that you could recall that was any events that you can recall that had a big impact on you that would be maybe I don't know, 9/11. I mean, any event maybe that's we would all share as a community that you felt had a big impact on you. I can think of 9/11 or the war or the recession maybe in 2008. I don't know.
No,
anything
I think
that
the biggest impact that I have had as the horrible man that became president of our country.
Yeah, I think we're all going through that.
And the loss of the norms of integrity in our nation, and that people such as my friend Chris, I'm not allowed to talk, I do not talk politics with her, who's one of these people that blindly thinks that he is just the most amazing person that ever walked the earth.
Yes.
And, I love what James Comey said when, George Stephanopoulos asked him, do you think he's qualified to be president? And he said, mentally, yes. He's an intelligent man. Morally, absolutely not. And he talked about, and then Stephanopoulos asked him, he said, do you think he should be impeached? And he said, I hope not. He said that would be an easy out for him.
Wow.
And the people of the United States, they need to take responsibility for what that allowing the norms to disintegrate to the point where they are, and still supporting a man that has the most despicable, unbelievable. Can you tell that this is
literally?
I mean, I am horrified of this.
It's horrific, everybody's going through it, and it's like the people who still blindly follow him give me so much anxiety because I'm like, do you have eyes and can you hear?
Right.
And do you understand?
Feel.
Yeah, do you have any empathy or understand
anything? How can you be a woman and like that man?
Yeah,
you know,
like,
I mean,
as you said, like, you identify very strongly with being a woman,
right.
you know, and it's like, he's like like, I don't know if he's a rapist, but he's a sexually assaulted
I would
women.
say you could name any criminal thing you want. He's been there.
He's probably had a thing about it. So no, I totally agree. Okay, yeah, that's also horrific. So I don't have any more questions. Is there anything else you want to add, or? You're enjoying your time being retired and hanging out. I feel like what you're doing, and we said earlier, like, describe an important relationship. I feel like right now, especially with you kind of reclaiming your time to yourself, is you're also building a relationship with yourself, which is cool.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I am definitely building a relationship stronger and stronger. You know, what we watched last night is that the shift is about shifting from the morning of your life to the afternoon of your life.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't have anything to do with age, but more of, what works for you in the morning is a lie in the evening. In other words, the changes that we make over the period of time, or even a short period of time, but, that shift. But you can always identify when that shift happens. And I can't focus. What was the comment you had made? I lost my train of thought.
Was that you were like finding a new relationship with yourself?
Yeah, and what he talked about was, men and women, and what they what is the 5 most important things to them in the morning of their life. And then once they've shifted into the afternoon of their life, what changes? What are the things that are most significant?
Wow.
And in the beginning, women identify with family, and I can't remember all of them, but family was number 1. And in the afternoon of your life, personal growth and happiness and spirituality. Spirituality wasn't even in the first part. With men, it was in the morning and the afternoon of their life, spirituality. Yeah, it was interesting. But it's a fabulous movie, and
I'll take it, and I'll look it up. That's cool. I like that. Okay. Well, I'm going to shut this off.
Okay.
Thank you.
How long did we talk?
47 minutes.
Oh, cool.
Could have talked for hours, probably.